Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I want to talk about the latest batch of STO news for both PC and console. Before I get into things, I do want to just uh, bring this up for people that are not aware of it yet. But fellow YouTuber Augmented Dictator, or Augie, has been going through some medical issues, and a couple days ago his wife posted on his personal Twitter account that she had found him unconscious in his chair and that he was taken to the ICU. And she has since posted an update that he has septic shock from his liver issues. So my thoughts and wishes go out to Augie. I really want to see you pull through this, man, and get back to doing the YouTube stuff. So I'll leave a link to this Twitter if you want to keep up to date with the latest bit of news. I know not everyone necessarily always agreed with Augie or some of his approaches, but you never want to see anything bad happen to people. So hopefully you have a quick recovery, buddy, and he can get back to doing the fun YouTube stuff. Okay, going over to console. If you're on console, you've got the next event in your year-long event campaign coming up. This is the Pahvo event. My recommendation for those of you on console, just go in, do a private TFO for Pahvo Dissension. That's the ground one. Do the first little bit where you place the crystals, maybe go shoot an NPC, and then just walk away from your console for a little bit. Like, just walk away for 10 to 15 minutes and AFK it. Throughout all of the event campaigns this year, I have pretty much always just went in solo via the private system, and I then just AFK them. I don't enjoy playing most of the content in the event missions, so I usually just AFK them. I still get the reward. You don't get as many marks, but you get the thing you care about, and you get the dilithium. So if you want to save yourself some time and frustration there, just AFK them, but do it in a private queue. Do not do it in a public queue. That's the one thing I'll say there. To go along with that, console does have a bonus mark event going on. This was posted under the PC section, but is supposedly for console. This will be running from August 2nd through August 16th. So bonus marks on top of it. So you'll be able to get whatever marks you need through the Pahvo event going on. And lastly, for console, you also have a Phoenix Prize Pack event going on. If you're after any T6X upgrade tokens, good time to be converting the ultra rare Phoenix tokens over to those. It's a very good deal. You can get like 10 for the price of what one would cost in the C store if you're dumping a ton of money into Phoenix packs. Patch notes wise, console, like I said, you got your event campaign coming up. The Coalition Repulsor armor from it, I don't recall being anything special. Does give you some costume unlocks, but you could probably just go look up if you're really interested in this. I imagine like Augie or someone else has some content pieces up going over the specific armor here. I don't recall it being anything special though. Console's also getting some fixes that we've already had on PC that are for some intel abilities and PvP. Some material and skin fixes. Nothing else really major there. If you're on PC, reminder, we have a Red Alert event going on now from the 2nd through the 16th. This is a 2-week long Red Alert, so there is a T6X experimental ship upgrade token added in as a reward. If you want to get these done quickly, always do Tholian or Borg Red Alerts. They're super fast. PC patch notes. It's just mentioning the Red Alert. They've added them, or they've updated the memorial plaque to include Michelle Nichols. I'm probably mispronouncing your name, but the actor that played Uhura, as you all know, passed away over the weekend, so they have added her to the memorial plaque. And they fixed an issue where using a floater device would revert your captain's costume back to your uniform. And for PC, we have some new items in the Mud Store. They all suck, thankfully, but this does mean that there's going to be a 75% sale off all of the non-bundle items in the Mud Store for the next couple days. So 75% sale is very good there. But the new items are the Kittimer Alliance uniform and Vandy shield. He was going to pay, you know, what that's going to be 15-20 bucks for that with the sale. Molor's sword, and then the Nanopulse Warthog ground combat pet. Those are the 3 new items, or 4. I would like to have seen, you know, maybe one of the Kittimer ships put in the mud store, but it is what it is. They don't want to do that yet, apparently. But the big thing with that is that the mud stuff is going to be 75% off for all of the non-bundle items. So the bundles are going to be the same price, 300 bucks. But all of these items and space items, ground items, and then the ships here are going to be 75% off. So if you're after any of those, make sure to go through and grab them. Some other stuff now that I want to mention. This isn't necessarily news related, but I had a ship donated to me about a month ago, and things happened, so I just didn't get the giveaway going when I wanted to. But Remissal has donated to me a Janeway class promotional ship. So I'll be announcing this giveaway Friday or Saturday, so stay tuned for that. I'm still figuring out what I'm going to do as the entry methods, but thank you again, Remissal, for donating that. Okay, next up, let's talk about DPS stuff. I know what everyone cares about. So I did a full, not a full wipe, but I did a wipe, being that the bridge officer issues have been fixed. So if you look at the SCM tables, any record that was over 100,000 DPS on the space tables from after the launch of Stormfall through the final fixed date for bridge officers, which was last Thursday, was wiped. And the reason for this is because for most of that duration, your bridge officers were giving you more crit chance, severity, and a variety of other boosts than they were supposed to. So that has been fixed, and as such, I have removed parses from that period because I don't consider, if you had access to something that is no longer accessible, then the record shouldn't be on the table. Another thing I want to address, and some of you that watch the tables will know this, there is now a 6 million DPS record for Infected Space Advanced. And I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more at some point in the future. The people that did it are going to be doing a write-up, and they want to get a better run-in. So they uploaded a 6.3 million run, but they actually had a run that was almost 10 million. There was just one like loose sphere that screwed it over. So they're going to give it another try, and I've seen the footage of the run. They don't want it public quite yet until they have a better run, because the 6.3 mil was not perfect. But once they get a better run in, they're going to make it all, like, share the strategy and all that public, and I'll be doing a piece on it. But if I pull the parse and look at it, basically, it's the Thaleron pulse. The Thaleron pulse off of the scimitar. And the reason that this did so much damage is because of how they planned out the run. So they had some people go in, take out the start real quick, the left side, right side, and then everything was grouped up right at the center for the person using Thaleron pulse. So everything was delivered to them on a silver platter, basically. This is not an exploit. It is fully legitimate, and it's not something most of you are going to ever be able to even come close to doing. I've already had people ask me, you know, they've seen this or they've heard about it, and they're like, oh dude, can I get this build together? No, you can't. This type of run is a highly coordinated run. If you do not have the specific team composition that is able to execute things as quickly as were done in this run, if you don't have the exact type of environment that this run was done in, you're not going to get a 10th of this damage. Just to be blunt about it. This is a very highly coordinated run, and it is not something you can even take into like a channel run and be effective with. The entire thing is purpose built for this one scenario, and it is not something you're going to be able to repeat without having a similar environment. So, how did it get such high damage? Well, it's taking advantage of something called overkill. And I talked about this a little bit in the post I did on the DPS Discord. But overkill is basically where you do more damage to a target than it has HP. So a target may have 4 million hit points and you may hit it for like 10 million. So you've just did 6 million more damage than should have existed on the map. Overkill is something that's always been an issue. And this is not, Thaleron is not the only ability that is an issue with overkill. The Agony Redistributor console that came out on the Adamant earlier this year, that's been a huge issue with overkill. The delayed overload cascade ability, that's had points where it's also caused a lot of overkill in HSE runs. So there's multiple sources of overkill. The combat log does not report how much health a target has left, so there's no way for us to filter it out in every combat scenario. We'd have to, know the exact HP values of the entities on the map in order to be able to filter out overkill, and that's just not something that is really feasible. Especially, we can't just have a static number built into the parser because some targets will regenerate health. So it's not something reported in the combat log generated by the game, and as such, it's not something that we can filter out on the parser. So it is just a mechanic that has always existed in the DPS scene, but in the past year, we have seen a lot of power creep, and we've seen it just taking advantage to another level. This Thaleron stuff, though, I will say, this has been possible for a few years now. It's just nobody took the time to get the team together to fully execute it like Chell and the DPS Cheesers did over the weekend. So they're doing Infected Space Advanced, but there's thoughts that this might also be able to transfer over to Infected Space Elite. If you have a team that is capable enough, but that's like the team for that type of run would be very hard to get together. You're basically going to need people that can nuke the sides with the torp boat really fast, and just like with the split ISE runs, that's basically a pool of like 5 to 10 players in the game that are at that skill level and have the builds put together for that. So I don't think we're going to see it done for ISC anytime soon, but I think for ISA we're going to see like a 10 mil Thaleron run in the near future, and there's been some thoughts as to whether or not to allow it, but I've decided to allow it on the SCM tables. I think CLR is not going to allow it. And I somewhat, like, I understand both sides to it. Like, your average DPS player is going to go look at the table, and they're going to see that the record is now 6 million. If you're just like someone new to the DPS scene and you're doing like 300K and you look up and the record's 6 million or 10 million, you're going to be, quite demotivated or wondering how the hell you're supposed to compete with that. So I understand that from a mood or vibe standpoint for the entire DPS scene, that maybe it's not the best thing ever, but I view it as a legitimate strategy given the current state of the game. And being we allow things like Agony Redistributor and Late Overload Cascade to be on parses, those cause a massive amount of overkill. That's been a fairly big issue, especially in ISE. Being we allow those things, I don't see why we shouldn't allow Thaleron. If other people want to get a team together to try and compete, do a similar thing with Thaleron, that's now something people can do. It still has a fairly high skill requirement from the entire team. And I think that with the DPS stuff, if you have a strategy like this that produces a number like this, but it requires a heavy amount of coordination, planning, theory crafting build wise, I don't see why it shouldn't be allowed. And in the future, we're gonna, when Oscar ends up coming out to replace SCM, we're going to have solo focused tables for people that want to just compete on individual versus individual level. These queues like Infected, Hive are very team focused. So we'll have team focus tables like ISA, ISE, HSC, and we'll have solo tables for things like patrols or solo of certain queues once we've got that all figured out. But I think I went on a little bit of a rant there, so once again, like I said at the beginning, um, thoughts and wishes go out to Augie. Nobody wants to see you going through this shit, so hopefully you start feeling better, man, and get back to doing the YouTube stuff or just chilling and playing the game. I'll link his Twitter over or down in the description below if you want to keep an eye on it. Once again, thanks to his wife for keeping us updated, and as I said, hopefully he has a very quick recovery. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and thank you to all channel members for the continued support. Tomorrow on Wednesday is probably going to be another O game video. I know the O game videos on the channel are not going to do too well with most of the STO viewers that I have here, but the intention with them is to just start to establish myself for the O game content. I'm not going to be fully going in on every video this week being O game. There's going to be more STO videos this week, but they're pushing the upcoming expansion for that game out to more servers on Friday, and I received a message from them asking me to just cover it if I can. And I'd been wanting to get this done a couple weeks ago, and then COVID happened. So I just want to get a video done going over their new expansion. So I want to get that done tomorrow, and then I'll have another STO video out probably Thursday or Friday. So if you're not interested in the O game stuff, you're not hurting my feelings if you don't watch it. I'm just trying to expand what I cover with the channel, and I am fully expecting not everyone's going to care about that stuff. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time.